Chapter 1471. One by one, the guests went to bid farewell to Ning Yaohua and Su Hongguang apologetically. Chairman Ning, I'm really sorry. Something urgent suddenly came up in the company, so I have to go first. Congratulations again. Sorry. It's fine. What are you saying, President Wang? It's already a great show of support for you to come today. President Wang, take care. Ning Yaohua had just sent off one person when another business partner of the company came to find him. Chairman Ning, the company has been quite busy recently, and the wedding was squeezed into the time of the meeting. I'll take my leave first. Please don't blame me, Chairman Ning. Ning Yaohua hurriedly said, It's nothing, Director Jiang. Let me send you off. There's no need for that, Director Ning. I can walk by myself. At first, Ning Yaohua didn't feel anything was wrong. It wasn't until the fifth person came to say goodbye to him that he finally felt something was wrong. At the same time, Su Hongguang encountered a similar situation. However, the wedding ceremony was about to begin, and the two didn't have time to think too much. They were called over by the MC to make the final preparations. At the same time, in the multi-purpose hall upstairs, there was a poster for the charity fund at the entrance, and there were two greeters. Although it was very simple, the poster was beautifully designed, and the greeters were unusually polite. They were guiding the guests to sign in and register the donation. It was obvious that they had put in a lot of effort. The layout of the hall was simple and orderly. Most of the people here were artists and partners of Shengshi Entertainment. There weren't many people, but the atmosphere was quite good. Ningxi was busy working with her assistant and manager while making a phone call. The call was from Zhuang Kuer. She said that she would arrive soon and that she would come with her mother. Hearing this, Ningxi was a little surprised. Then she smiled gratefully and said, Thank you, Kuer. You don't have to be so polite with me. I'm already at the door. I'll hang up first. At the door, Zhuang Kuer registered her name, then brought a gift bag to the table. She took out a small black box from the bag and said to the staff in charge of registration, I want to donate this bracelet. Zhuang Kuer took out the bracelet that Ning Xuan had deliberately thrown in her car. Anyway, it was impossible for her to return this thing. It was disgusting to keep it with her, so she might as well donate it to do a good deed. After the registration, Zhuang Kuer and her mother went to find Ningxi. Ningxi saw the two people and hurriedly went to greet them. Kuer, Madame Zhuang, thank you for coming. If it was only Kuer, it would have been fine. But Madame Zhuang had actually come in person. This was indeed giving too much face. Ningxi could not help but feel overwhelmed by the favor. Seeing Ningxi's gratefulness, Meng Linlang said gently and angrily, How many times have I told you? Don't be so polite to us. We should thank you. You've helped us so much before, but we only treated you to a few meals. We don't have the right to interfere in other things, but I can help you with charity. You don't have to thank me. Ningxi's eyes lit up, and she said, Don't mention it. Meng Linlang decided to do what she was going to do today after much consideration. Charity was a good opportunity. Helping Ningxi in this respect would not be a laughingstock to either the Zhuang family or Ningxi. Ningxi naturally thought of this and was moved by Meng Linlang's thoughtfulness. She smiled and led them to the side to rest and have tea. But what Ningxi didn't expect was that Meng Linlang didn't just come by herself. She did more than she could imagine. Chapter 1472. Not long after Meng Linlang stepped in, the sparse entrance to the small hall suddenly became crowded, and these people were a little strange. For example, the CEO who was doing the registration was dressed in formal attire, as if he had just come from an important banquet. When he arrived, he asked directly, Can I donate something? Of course you can. The staff nodded. Thus, the CEO took off a watch that looked very expensive from his hand without saying a word. Then I'll donate this watch. Okay. Coincidentally, there were already several guests like the CEO, saying that they came in a hurry without any preparation. Without saying a word, they directly took off the accessories they were wearing, causing the two staff members to look at each other. Lin Jiji saw that there were more and more unfamiliar faces, so she walked up to Ningxi. Ningxi, did you invite these people? Ningxi glanced at the people around her who were obviously not on the list. Sister Gigi, Didn't you invite them? Both of them were stunned for a moment, obviously thinking that they were invited by the other party. Because tonight's banquet was for charity, Lin Gigi had already started a certain amount of publicity and invitations a long time ago, but many of these people were obviously not within the scope of her ability to advertise. In addition, when Ning Shuilua's wedding date was set, it happened to coincide with today's banquet. Almost half of the people had gone to Ning Shuilua's place, so there were even fewer people who could come today. Ning Shi suddenly thought of something, muttered to herself for a moment, and said, "I think I know. Wait, I'll go ask." Ning Shi informed Lin Gigi, then walked over to Zhuang Keber and Meng Linlang. "Madam Zhuang, it seems that there are a lot of company CEOs and famous people in the city who are not on our banquet list. Did Madam help to invite them?" Meng Linlang glanced at those people, smiled faintly, and said directly, "These people? No." She actually denied it? If it wasn't Meng Linlang, then who could it be? This time, Ning Shi was really a little confused. At this moment, those CEOs who had rushed over after hearing the news were standing in twos and threes, talking together. "What the hell is going on? Is there something wrong with your information? I just asked. This is just a charity foundation set up in the name of a small celebrity. Let's wait a little longer. Didn't you see that Madame Zhuang and eldest young Miss Zhuang have indeed come? What about Section Chief Zhao and Department Head Liu? Didn't they say that they would all come? I don't see a single one. I risked defending both the Su and Ning families by leaving early. Isn't this cheating? This Miss Zhuang, judging from her age, is she a fan of that little star called Ning Shi? My daughter is also a fan of this female star. She talks about her every day. Now that you mention it, it's possible. So the section chief and department head, were they all wrong? How about we go back downstairs?" Just as the group of people were complaining about how they had made a wasted trip and even donated money for no reason, a group of people suddenly walked over from the entrance. A group of people walked over, laughing and chatting. Leading them were the people they had been talking about, Chief Zhao and Chief Liu. Looking behind them, it was even more frightening. At a glance, several of them were high-ranking officials and their wives, who were usually as difficult as ascending to the heavens. The most shocking thing was who they saw. Isn't that General Zhuang Liaoyuan? At the same time, Meng Linlang looked at Ning Shi, smiled lightly, and then said, "Look, these people are the ones I invited." Ning Shi, Chapter 1473. Ning Shi was indeed shocked. So, these people were invited by Meng Linlang. As for the others, it seemed that they had come for these people after hearing the news. Zhuang Liaoyuan walked straight towards Ning Shi and the others after saying something to his colleague. "Chief Zhuang." Ning Shi looked at Zhuang Liaoyuan, who had come in person, and didn't know what to say. Zhuang Liaoyuan was giving him too much face. "Girl, I hope you don't mind that I joined your event with the Charity Association's project without your permission," Zhuang Liaoyuan said. Ning Shi hurriedly said, "Of course not. I just feel that it's too much trouble for you." Zhuang Liaoyuan said indifferently, "As long as it doesn't cause you any trouble." "Of course not. It's just that my venue is small and simple. I'm afraid it will be neglected." "Don't worry about that. Your venue is more than enough. We're doing charity, not putting on a show. It's better to keep it simple." Hearing this, Ning Shi was finally relieved. She thanked him again and then said, "Chief Zhuang, you can chat with each other." "I'll go now." Meng Linlang said softly, "Go ahead. Don't worry about us." Ning Shi immediately went to explain the situation to Lin Gigi. "Ning Shi, do you know General Zhuang?" Lin Gigi asked in surprise. "I helped the Zhuang family by chance. Later, I got along well with Zhuang Keber. He must have come to support me because I helped him before," Ning Shi explained briefly. Only then did Lin Gigi feel a little relieved. In fact, although so many people came unexpectedly, she didn't have to worry at all because there were also a lot of staff from the Charity Association. They were experienced and had already helped to take over the event. In the wedding banquet hall downstairs, the long-awaited wedding ceremony finally began. After the MC on the stage gave a passionate speech, the sacred wedding march sounded and the door at the end of the red carpet opened. The bride in a white wedding dress held her father's arm and walked step by step to the groom on the other side of the red carpet. Finally, the exciting moment had arrived. All the cameras of the invited media pointed at the bride, Ning Shuo, at the same time. The eyes of the guests, especially the girls, were overflowing with envy. The awkwardness caused by the Zhuang family had been completely washed away by the excitement of the wedding. Because the venue was very large, the red carpet was very long. As Ning Shui walked forward, a large number of the surrounding guests had quietly disappeared. What's going on? Why do I see so many people leaving? A yellow-dressed female star of Shengshi Entertainment looked around suspiciously. The red-dressed female star looked a little suspicious. While they were talking, the boss next to her also hurriedly turned around and walked out the door. The red-dressed female star hurriedly stopped the old CEO. Director Li, where are you going? I have an important event to attend. Miss Feng, let's meet again when we are free. Director Li left in a hurry after he finished speaking. The more the woman in red thought about it, the more confused she became. In the end, she couldn't help but chase after them to the door. The woman in yellow followed closely behind. Then, the two of them saw that the VIPs who had just left were all heading upstairs. Chapter 1474. That's strange. Is there an important event upstairs? Isn't it Ningxi's charity donation ceremony upstairs? There's only a small hall upstairs. There can't be any other event. Just as the two actresses were getting more and more confused, a group of people suddenly came from the stairway. The person who almost blinded them was their boss, Lu Jingli, and the person next to him was their big boss, Lu Tingxiao. Behind him were all the senior executives of Shengshi Entertainment, whom they rarely saw. However, it was not over yet. There was another set of footsteps coming from the stairway on the right. A white-haired man wearing sunglasses walked up leisurely, followed by a few cold-faced bodyguards in black. Next to him was a man wearing gold-rimmed glasses. Fuck. This iconic white hair. Could it be the rumored President Yin? The two actresses were so shocked that they almost trembled. The two groups of people on the left and right happened to meet. Yo, President Liu, what a coincidence. You're here too? The white-haired man took off his sunglasses and smiled at the expressionless man opposite him. Lu Tingxiao narrowed his eyes slightly, but his footsteps paused slightly. Soon, he continued to walk upstairs. Lu Jingli glanced at the man behind him, curled his lips, and hurried to catch up with his brother. Fuck, why is this guy here too? Everything was not going well today. Originally, they had a good plan. They would definitely help little Cece out today and fight against the adulterous couple downstairs. In the end, they did not expect that the Zhuang family would interfere. Not only did they fail to provide timely help, but even their rival in love had come to join in the fun downstairs. At this moment, the people around them gradually realized that something was wrong. They whispered to each other and asked each other. In the end, they all learned that the people who left all went upstairs. Even the guests realized that something was wrong, let alone the media. Immediately, some clever reporters realized that there might be big news, so they did not hesitate to temporarily stop filming Ning Shuo and sneak upstairs. It would have been fine if they did not see it, but when they saw it, they were so scared that they wet their pants. They thought that there was already a rare event downstairs, but when they saw upstairs, they realized what was really extravagant. High-ranking officials gathered, rich people gathered. For example, if a bomb was dropped in this small hall at this moment, the entire Hua nation would collapse. As a result, all the reporters who went to check it out never returned. Ning Shu held on to Ning Yaohua's arm. Her eyes were sparkling as she walked toward her happiness step by step. Finally, when she arrived in front of Su Yin, she turned around, only to find that the originally packed wedding banquet hall had been reduced by half, and people were still leaving at a speed visible to the naked eye. What's going on? However, under the watchful eyes of the public, it was not convenient for her to ask about it. Ning Shuo could only suppress her uneasiness and continue with the wedding. They exchanged rings and recited their vows. This was supposed to be the part she was looking forward to the most, but as time went on, the number of people in the banquet hall dwindled. In the end, only 1/3 of the people were left. Almost as soon as the ceremony ended, Ning Shuo immediately went to ask about the situation. Damn, what's going on? Why did so many guests suddenly leave? Chapter 1475. Ning Yaohua's forehead was covered in sweat. I just sent someone to ask around, and they said that all the guests went upstairs. What are they doing upstairs? Ning Shuiluo's face was dark. It was a perfectly fine wedding, but first the Zhuang family had a problem. Now so many people were suddenly missing at the critical moment. The remaining guests were all absent-mindedly discussing what was going on. She was like an idiot when she was upstairs. She didn't even know how she made it through those 10 minutes. She even made a mistake in her vows. However, what was even more tragic was that no one noticed that she made a mistake. Upstairs? Wasn't Ning, she organizing some random charity event today? When she set the wedding date, she chose the same day and the same place mainly because she wanted to bump into Ning Shi, so she immediately thought of this matter at this moment. But what were these people doing upstairs? Could it be that Ning Shi rescheduled the event to avoid her? Was there some other important meeting or event upstairs? I haven't found out yet. It's so crowded upstairs that we can't squeeze in. There's no way to find out what happened, Su Hongguang said with a dark face. Zhuang Lingyu's expression was unusually ugly. She looked at Su Hongguang and Su Hongguang's mother. How could something like this happen on such an important day? Such a big problem has happened, and we still haven't figured out what's going on. Do you want us, the female's family, to investigate? Su Hongguang's mother frowned. Didn't we already say that we're investigating? What was going on? It was still uncertain which side had gone wrong. Not all the guests who left were from our Su family. What do you mean? Su Yin looked exhausted. He quickly said, Mom, stop arguing. I'll go up and check it out myself. Big brother Yin, be good. Wait for me. I'll be back soon. Su Yin stroked Ning Shuiluo's hair and walked out of the hall. When Su Yin went up, the people who were crowding outside were all gone. He only saw a charity event poster outside the hall. On the poster was a promotional photo of Ning Shi in a white dress. Hello, sir. Please register here, one of the staff said politely when he saw Su Yin. At this moment, the other person recognized Su Yin and hurriedly whispered a few words in his companion's ear. His companion glanced at the groom's name hanging on Su Yin's chest and awkwardly fell silent. He wondered what Su Yin was doing here. Sorry, may I ask if there are any activities here today? Although he saw the sign, Su Yin still wanted to confirm it. It's the charity foundation and donation ceremony started by our brother Shi, the staff member replied. Su Yin frowned slightly. It was really Ning Shi. Even though it might be rude of him, Su Yin could not help but look into the hall. He realized that most of the guests who had left earlier were still there. Not only that, but the people sitting in the front row were all important officials of the city. He even saw people from the Zhuang family. Another flower? Just as Su Yan's face was pale with shock, a faint voice came from behind him. As soon as he turned around, he saw a white-haired man looking at him with a faint smile. And the person who appeared at the same time was Lu Tingxiao. On the other side, Ningxi got the news that Big Boss was also coming. She was about to go out to welcome her sweetheart, but she saw such a scene that made her dumbfounded. Chapter 1476. Holy shit, what was going on? Why did Yunshin also come? Yunshin was fine, but why was Su Yin here too? Ningxi looked at Lu Tingxiao, Yunshin, and Su Yin. She was dumbfounded. How did these three people magically get together? When Yunshin saw Ningxi come out, he chuckled and looked in Su Yan's direction. Honey, is this your first love? Are you blind? The veins on Ningxi's forehead bulged. You're the one who's blind. Your whole family is blind. Hearing Ningxi's words, Yunshin glanced in the direction of Lu Tingxiao and Lu Jingli and laughed nervously. Oh, my whole family is blind? You're right. You're crazy. Ningxi was speechless. Then she glanced at Tang Yi. Can you hold the rope for your boss? Tang Yi looked as if it had nothing to do with him. Ningxi looked at Su Yin and raised her eyebrows. Mr. Su, did you come to the wrong place? Su Yan's expression was extremely complicated at the moment. He looked at Ningxi and wanted to say something, but in the end, he didn't say anything and turned to leave. He thought that Ningxi didn't come to his wedding because she couldn't accept it, but he didn't expect that what he saw was completely different from what he had imagined. It was as if his wedding today didn't affect her at all, and even his appearance didn't cause the slightest ripple in her eyes. What shocked him even more was the way the two men in front of him treated Ningxi, and the way they looked at her. As a man, he couldn't be more familiar with the look in their eyes. And the important guests in this hall. The curator seemed to have specially ordered the other hall connected to this small hall, which had never been opened before, to be open to accommodate the guests. He realized that the girl he was so familiar with had become someone he couldn't understand at some point in time. Seeing Su Yin leave, Ningxi finally turned to Lu Tingxiao. Her eyes were sparkling, and her attitude had completely changed. "Boss, please come in." Lu Tingxiao seemed to be very satisfied with the girl's completely different expression when she saw him. "Okay, don't be too tired." "Okay, I know, boss." Ningxi repeated in her heart. Hey, there's a boss here. Little CC, you really have bad eyesight." Lu Jingli, who was completely ignored, complained. Yes. Please come in, boss. You've worked hard. That's more like it." Lu Jingli snorted and went in. Cloud Depths, who did not receive a polite invitation, did not mind at all and strolled in leisurely. The moment Lu Tingxiao entered, there was a burst of exclamations in the hall. When Yun Shun appeared behind him, the exclamations became even louder. "Oh my God. I was just saying that if Lu Tingxiao and Yun Shun were here, then all the big shots in the political and business world would be here. I didn't expect that they would actually all come. That's too scary. Who the hell was that little celebrity? Isn't his reputation a little too big?" It is said that he is the pillar of Shengshi Entertainment. The two female stars of Shengshi Entertainment who had gone to attend Ning Xiulao's wedding were filled with regret when they saw the scene upstairs. They had been invited long ago, but they didn't show up. Now they had missed such a great opportunity. When they arrived, the charity event was already halfway through. Chapter 1477. "Brother Yin, you're back. Have you figured it out? What's going on up there?" Ning Xiulao asked hurriedly. "There's an important event. The guests are probably just going through the motions." Su Yin only said that there was an important ceremony up there, but he didn't mention Ningxi. However, just because Su Yin didn't say it clearly didn't mean that others wouldn't say it. Su Sun walked over and said sarcastically, "What important ceremony? It's just a charity foundation held by a female star." "Oh, right. I almost forgot. That female star is Ningxi." Ning Xiulao's face suddenly turned pale. "Su Sun, what did you say?" "Su Sun, don't talk nonsense if you don't know anything." Su Yin said it's an important event. Zhuang Lingyu's face suddenly changed when she heard Ningxi's name. Su Sun was even more proud when he heard this and continued, "Oh, I'm talking nonsense? If you don't believe me, you can ask Su Yin if what I said is true." Madame Zhuang and Miss Zhuang, who claimed that they didn't know the Ning family at all, are now Ningxi's distinguished guests. Not only that, even Chief Zhuang came in person. TSK. It's just a small charity event. The family of 3 came in person, and all the high-ranking officials in the capital were invited. Su Yin, is what he said true? Before Zhuang Lingyu could speak, Su Yan's mother, Zheng Minjun, had already grabbed Su Yan's arm, her face full of disbelief. Zhuang Lingyu and Ning Xiulao were also shocked. Ning Xiulao couldn't believe what Su Sun had just said. This was simply a fantasy. Ningxi had only coaxed Zhuang Ke somehow, and she was only a friend of Zhuang Ke. How could Madame Zhuang and Chief Zhuang do this? This was absolutely impossible. However, Su Yan's face was calm, and he didn't say a word. It seemed that he had tacitly agreed. Su Sun's wife, Zhao Shanshan, said with a smile, "This is nothing. Even the president of Lu Group, Lu Tingxiao, and the rumored mysterious President Yun are here. With such a big show, no wonder everyone ran over as soon as they heard the news." Ning Yaohua was shocked. What? Lu Tingxiao came in person? Lu Tingxiao was the boss of Shengshi Entertainment, so he could understand President Yun. Which President Yun? Ning Yaohua asked again. That's President Yun, who helped Ningxi at the banquet last time. Zhao Shanshan was afraid that Ning Xiulao did not hate her enough, so she brought up the cocktail party on purpose. She even clicked her tongue at Zheng Minjun and said, "Mom, I really don't know what you're thinking. You put in so much effort, spent so much money, and made such a big scene just to marry a wild chicken? This pheasant was colorful and looked good, but it couldn't stand up to the contrast. As a matter of fact, the moment he arrived in front of the true phoenix, the trap was completely exposed. Zhao Shanshan, who are you calling a wild chicken? Zhuang Lingyu was so angry that she couldn't bear it anymore and threw herself at Zhao Shanshan. Yo, you dare to do it, but you won't let others talk about it? Do you dare to say that Ning Xiaoluo is really your biological daughter? Do you dare to go to the hospital to do a paternity test now? It's fine if you're trying to deceive outsiders, but why are you still pretending in front of us? Zhao Shanshan's words were getting uglier and uglier, but they were all bloody, stabbing at Ning Shua's heart the most. Chapter 1478. Zhao Shanshan had investigated Ning Xiaoluo before she came in, but there was no concrete evidence. Now she finally had a chance to disgust her. How could she let go of this opportunity? Su Sun had been holding back for a long time because Su Yan's wedding was so much grander than his. Now that he saw that Su Yan's wedding was ruined, he was so happy that he gloated and said, "Big brother, I'm not trying to criticize you. As far as I know, you were dating Ning Shi, weren't you? Your taste is getting worse and worse. Why did you choose such a girl in the end?" Shut up. No matter how good-tempered Su Yan was, he still looked gloomy. It's none of your business. Su Sun laughed heartily. After making Su Yan angry, he turned to his father. Dad, I really admire your brain circuits. What the hell are you thinking? Do you think the Zhuang family will give face to Ning Xiaoluo? It's okay that you two are so stupid. Who is the Zhuang family? Can't they tell who is the real one and who is the fake one? If they don't help their own child, how can they help a completely unrelated wild chicken? Ning Xuan, Zhuang Lingyu, and Ning Yaohua's expressions were extremely ugly as Su Sun said the word pheasant. However, there were many guests outside, and it would only make things worse if they made a scene. Ning Yaohua said with a stern face, Su Sun, watch your words. Su Yan's father and mother didn't look happy at this moment, but they actually began to regret it. Su Sun's words were harsh, but they were very reasonable, and they completely explained the ins and outs of what happened today. Everything started because the Zhuang family supported Ning Shi. That was why so many guests went there after hearing the news. Even influential people like Lu Tingxiao and Yunshen went to support her. In the end, the show snowballed. Did the Zhuang family really go there to support Ning Shi? Zhuang Lingyu, Zhuang Zhongren's biological daughter, and Ning Xiu, whom she regarded as the apple of her eye, didn't win the Zhuang family's favor. But Ning Shi, a small star who had just gained some fame in the entertainment circle, could make the Zhuang family go to such great lengths to protect her? This was simply too unbelievable, but it really happened like that. Su Hongguang and Zheng Minjun looked at each other and saw the uncertainty in each other's eyes. If the Zhuang family really cared about Ning Shi more and even accepted and acknowledged her, then their marriage with the Ning family would be a huge loss. Even if there were 100 Ning families, they would not be able to compete with the Zhuang family. Ning Shua saw the regret on Su Hongguang's and Zheng Minjun's faces, and she clenched her fists so hard that her fingernails were about to break. She forced herself to remain calm and said, all these years, the government has been encouraging us artists to use our influence to do more charity. I guess this time, Ning Shi happened to be in time for the government's policy response. Upon hearing this, Ning Yaohua immediately said, that's right, that must be it. Who knew that our day would coincide with this event? Anyway, let's hurry up and finish the rest of the process. The bride and groom are still waiting for a toast outside. Zheng Minjun's face darkened. At this moment, she couldn't hide her emotions at all. Looking at Ning Xiaoluo, she could no longer suppress her dissatisfaction. Should we toast or go out and embarrass ourselves? Ning Xiaoluo bit her lip and her eyes turned red. Dad, Mom, I'm really sorry. It's my fault. I should have considered more carefully. I really didn't expect that our day would coincide with Ning Shi's event. Chapter 1479. I really didn't expect to bump into Ningxi. I'm sorry. Ning Shuilua sobbed, her face full of grievance. So, why did they bump into each other so coincidentally? And in such a terrible way? The two families began to consider this question, especially Zhuang Lingyu, who cursed angrily. That wretched girl, she did it on purpose. No matter what happened, it was not the time to think about it. The most important thing now was to salvage the situation. After thinking for a long time, Su Hongwang finally took a deep breath and said, "We'll talk about the rest later. Su Yin, bring Ning Shuo out to toast." Su Yin put his arm around Ning Shuo's shoulder and brought her out. Zhuang Lingyu was also persuaded by Ning Yaohua to go out to entertain the guests. Zheng Minjun was still a little unwilling. After everyone left, she glared at her husband and said, "Are you really going to let it go, just like that?" Su Hongguang said angrily, "Then what do you want me to do? We've already gotten our marriage certificate and announced it to all our friends and family. The wedding is already halfway through. Can we still return it?" "I want to return it," Zheng Minjun muttered. "Don't even think about it. Things are already messy enough. Don't cause more trouble. We still don't know the Zhuang family's attitude. Even if they do, they're already married. Can you still force Su Yin to divorce? It'll be even uglier then. Don't you think we've embarrassed ourselves enough today?" Su Hongguang was full of anger. Hearing this, Zheng Minjun's mind began to work. Who said they're getting a divorce now? Of course we'll wait and see. If the Zhuang family is really willing to give face to Ningxi and even acknowledge her as their granddaughter. So what if Su Yin divorces and remarries? No matter what, it's the Ningxi family who lied to us first. If they didn't hide it on purpose, would we be able to marry a fake one? It's not too much for our Su family to do. Su Hongguang did not agree or disagree. He only urged Zheng Minjun to go out and calm down the remaining guests. At this point, there was no turning back no matter what the situation was. They could only hurry up and continue with the toast. Otherwise, the remaining guests would all leave. Most of the people who hadn't left were relatives of the two families. If it weren't for the fact that they were related to each other, they would have gone upstairs to see what was going on. Naturally, they couldn't wait for the wedding banquet to end as soon as possible. In the past, there would at least be some lively guests who would make a fuss about the bride and groom. But at this moment, the entire wedding banquet hall was as quiet as a chicken. Under countless strange gazes, Ning Shuo forced herself to drink with Su Yin and send the guests off. In the end, she watched as the guests sneaked upstairs right after they left. She had been busy for so long for today's wedding and finally managed to invite so many people. But in the end, they all benefited Ningxi. Even if she was going to die, she wanted to know the reason behind it. Ning Shula couldn't accept it no matter how she thought about it. When she entered the hotel suite to remove her makeup and change her clothes, she immediately changed into inconspicuous clothes. She put on a mask and sunglasses and secretly rushed upstairs. She also donated a pair of earrings before sneaking into the venue. When she arrived, the hall was almost full. Even the inner hall that had never been opened before was open. She finally squeezed to the front and saw the list of guests sitting in the front row. It was simply shocking. Any one of them was someone who could shake the political and business world. These people were all here for the Zhuang family. After seeing the terrifying influence of the Zhuang family, Ning Shuo was so jealous that she almost bit her lips. If the Zhuang family came today for her wedding banquet, then everything should belong to her. Chapter 1480. If the Zhuang family had come to her wedding today, then everything should have belonged to her. Ning Shuo was almost driven crazy by this thought. But now, she watched as she stood on the red podium and gave a speech in front of everyone's eyes. Her dream wedding had become a nightmare, and it was completely ruined. After Ningxi's speech, the audience burst into thunderous applause, and then the host announced the start of the donation ceremony. In a daze, Ningxu saw Zhuang Kuba walking to the podium, and the host was introducing the items that Zhuang Kuba had donated. A bracelet. Zhuang Kuba had said that she would attend her wedding, but she appeared here and donated the bracelet that she had left in the car. Ning Shulua's face was as pale as a ghost behind the mask. Did the Zhuang family really know that she had been switched? Just because the Zhuang family found out that she was not their biological daughter, they treated her like this? Ning Shu was the eldest daughter of the Ning family. She was the only daughter that Zhuang Lingyu had admitted herself to be. She was the granddaughter that the Zhuang family should have recognized. Why? Why did it become like this? Ning Shi was such a bitch. How could she? Ning Shuo was worried that she would be discovered if she stayed here for too long. So she gritted her teeth and left in a hurry. There were too many things that she had to solve now. In addition to Zheng Minjun's anger, she could already predict the overwhelming media reports tomorrow. An hour later, Ning Shi's charity event also came to an end. In addition to the guests who came later, Ning Shi also had a lot of friends. Most of them were artists from Shengshe Entertainment, and some of them were partners that she had met when she was filming. After the event, Jiang Mai, who couldn't stay idle, gathered a large group of friends to sing in KTV. Of course, many people responded to his call. Therefore, a large group of people left the exhibition center and followed Jiang Mai to the KTV party. As the host, Ning Shi had to stay behind to do some finishing work. During this period, Jiang Mai called her several times to urge her. Ning Xiaoxi, have you finished your work? Come on, everyone is waiting for you. Jiang Mai urged her anxiously. Ning Shi sorted out the donation materials and said helplessly, Golden Retriever, are you on steroids? Why are you so excited? I've been tired for the whole day. Where would I have the energy to accompany you? Jiang Mai's complaint immediately came from the other end of the phone. Fuck, you're really taking my kindness for granted. It's not you who's going to accompany me. It's me who's going to accompany you, okay? Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. Huh? Why did you purposely come here to accompany me? Jiang Mai snorted. Su Yin, we're going to consummate our marriage tonight. Aren't you afraid that you'll let your imagination run wild tonight? Cut the crap. Are you coming or not? Who would have thought that this guy could actually think of this? She had almost forgotten about it. Hearing Jiang Mai's impatient tone, Ning Shi felt warm in her heart. She said, I see. Send me the address. I'll be there right away. Also, it's my treat tonight. Humph. That's more like it. Jiang Mai hung up the phone with satisfaction. Ning Shi smiled helplessly. After finishing her work, she immediately rushed to the address that Jiang Mai had sent her. Well, if she had the ability to predict the future, if she had known that she would be cheated so miserably by Jiang Mai, she would never have gone on this trip. Chapter 1481. To make it convenient for them to go there directly, the KTV was just across the street. Ning Shi walked there directly after leaving the exhibition center. Well, if she had the ability to predict the future, she would never have gone to the KTV if she had known that she would be tricked by Jiang Mai so miserably. After arriving at the KTV, Ning Shi called Jiang Mai while walking upstairs. Golden Hair, I'm here. Which room are you in? That. Jiang Mai stammered on the other end of the phone. Which room? You don't even know which one? Ning, she was speechless. Jiang Mai coughed lightly. No. Ning Xiaoxi. That, you don't have to come. Ning, she was speechless. Golden Hair, are you kidding me? I'm here. My surname is Jiang. Jiang Mai said weakly. Get lost. Don't change the subject. Which room are you in? Did you drink too much? Ning, she frowned. She felt that Jiang Mai's tone was a little strange. Someone next to Jiang Mai heard Ning Shi's voice and shouted into the phone. Is that Brother Shi? We are in V888 room. Come on. Ning Shi didn't think much about it. She hung up the phone after knowing the room number. She looked up and found that V888 room was not far away. Ning Shi walked over and pushed the door open. The moment she pushed the door open, Ning Shi felt as if she had been struck by lightning. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Ning Shi decisively slammed the door shut again, and then an earth-shattering scream rang in her mind. Ah! Fuck! What the hell did she see just now? What the hell? Even if it was just a brief glance, even if the room was full of people, those people were too conspicuous. It was impossible for her to ignore any one of them. Jiang Mai, Mo Qinxiu, Yunshin Lu Tingxiao. Jiang Mai, you bastard. Didn't you say you would play with me? Fuck you. You guys can just go and play mahjong by yourselves. Mo Qinxiu was one thing, But why were Yunxin and Lu Tingxiao here too? While Ningxi was reorganizing her worldview, the door of the private room was pushed open from the inside. Two girls from the same company enthusiastically pulled her in. Brother Shi, why are you standing at the door? Come on in. Brother Shi, come quickly. Let me tell you, Big Boss is also here today, and President Yun. Before Ningxi could speak, she had been pulled in by the two girls. Because they knew that she had a good relationship with Jiang Mai, they even specially reserved a seat for her beside Jiang Mai. Ningxi braced herself to avoid the gazes of the other three people and then stared at Jiang Mai. Jiang Mai, do you want to die? How dare you trick me? It wasn't easy for her to get through the charity event, but the four of them actually gathered together again. Jiang Mai put on an innocent face and shrank back in fear. I didn't invite them at all. How would I know they would come? Didn't I warn you later and tell you not to come? Ningxi pinched her brows and gritted her teeth. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because of these people, she really didn't have the mood to care about her other ex-boyfriend now. Fighting poison with poison, huh? Chapter 1482. Originally, Jiang Mai was just holding a small private party, but Lu Jingli, the boss, also came to join in the fun. Not only did he come, but he also brought Lu Tingxiao, the big boss, with him. Because of Lu Tingxiao's arrival, many of the big shots in the business circle who had just left the charity event also came to join in the fun. Finally, even Yunxin came. Therefore, the nature of this private party suddenly became a business gathering. In short, it was completely inappropriate. It was better to go home and have a good sleep after it was over, but in the end, they had to endure this. Ningxi sat there, as if there were needles growing out of her, but she couldn't sit still no matter how hard she tried. In her boredom, she could only unconsciously drink until her sweetheart's gaze drifted over. Lu Tingxiao had the most people around him, so he didn't have a moment to rest. She didn't expect him to notice her. After being warned, Ningxi chuckled, buried her head, and sent Lu Tingxiao a text message. Anyway, you're here, so it's okay even if you drink too much. Lu Tingxiao seemed to be listening carefully to the unceasing speech of a certain boss next to him. At this moment, his phone vibrated, so he looked down at it. His distant expression suddenly warmed up a little, and he didn't continue to stop Ningxi. From time to time, people around Ningxi would talk to her out of curiosity, with a hint of probing in their tones. Brother Shi, you're so amazing. So many people came to the event today. I was shocked. Isn't that so? I thought the guests at Ning Shui's wedding of the century were scary enough, but in the end, they're nothing compared to you. Ningxi took a sip of wine and said calmly, it just so happens that the higher-ups have been promoting this recently. Plus, with our big boss's promotion, I'm just a small shrimp representing the company. Hearing Ningxi say this, the artist who came over to talk to her revealed a look of understanding. Because today's extravagance was too terrifying, they couldn't help but wonder if Ningxi had some background that they didn't know about. But when they thought about Ningxi's rise to fame, they felt that it was unlikely. If she really had such a powerful background, how could Ningxi have played so many supporting roles for so long before she finally made it to the A-list? What did it mean to truly have a backer? Mengxi had never played a supporting role since her debut. Every movie she acted in was a big production from a famous director that cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Winning the Best Actress in her first movie was the right example. Therefore, when they heard what Ningxi said, they didn't doubt her words at all. On the contrary, they had a good impression of Ningxi's honesty and her attitude of not deliberately taking advantage of others. There were many young people in the room. Everyone suggested playing truth or dare. Ningxi had a headache when she heard this game. Wasn't it courting death to play this game when there were four of them? Thus, Ningxi decisively escaped. He walked to the end of the empty corridor to take a breath of fresh air. However, just as he leaned against the window for a while, he heard footsteps behind him. Ningxi turned around and saw Mo Chinchio standing there, his eyes muddled and his body reeking of alcohol. Looking at the person in front of her, Ningxi really had a headache. Mo Chinchio, I've already said what I should say. What do I have to do for you to end the feud between us? Just tell me directly. Mo Chinchio's white fingers ran through his hair. His brows were wild and unruly, and the corners of his mouth were full of a cold smile. And the feud? I actually fucking lost to a good-for-nothing gigolo who has no face, no money, and no family background. Do you think I can swallow this? Chapter 1483. Mo Chinchio had been suppressing his anger ever since he discovered the ambiguous relationship between Ning Shi and Ke Mingyu. He had been wondering what kind of man could make a woman like Tang Shi fall in love with him. Little did he know, it turned out to be a gigolo who relied on a woman to get ahead. How could he be reconciled to that? The corner of Ning Shi's mouth twitched. Gigolo? Did he mean her sweetheart? You mean Ke Mingyu? Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. Don't tell me you're not having an affair with that guy. I've been paying attention to you two for a long time. If you're not having an affair, I'll swallow this trash can. Mo Chinchio pointed at the metal trash can next to him and said angrily. Ning Shi clicked her tongue, thinking that Mo Chinchio's eyes were quite sharp. He found the right person so quickly. She originally thought that he would suspect Jiang Mai. She didn't answer his question directly, but asked, then, who do you think my man is so that you can swallow this? I'll find him and let you die, okay? You're the one who's going to die. Mo Chinchio was so angry that he almost died on the spot. Hey, I'm serious. Tell me a name that will let you swallow this. Let's settle this grudge today, Ning Shi said. Mo Chinchio looked the girl up and down. He knew that her words were ridiculous and she was obviously playing with him, but he was so angry that he actually began to think about it. He wasn't bragging, but he looked down on all the male celebrities in the entertainment industry, including Jiang Mai. As for those outside the entertainment industry, he didn't like many of them. Mo Chinchio couldn't be blamed for being arrogant. His father was a wealthy businessman in City H, and his second uncle was the vice president of Hollywood's TL Entertainment Company. His family was one of the richest even outside the entertainment industry. There were many rich people these days, but which of them wasn't an old man in his 50s or 60s? There were also many rich second-generation heirs. None of them had a face like his. Mo Chinchio thought for a long time, but only a few candidates came to his mind. They were the ones that he was truly convinced of. Hey, have you made up your mind? Ning Shi urged impatiently. Mo Chinchio leaned against the wall, lit a cigarette, and smiled maliciously. Give up, woman. Unless it's Lu Tingxiao or Yunshin. No matter who your man is, we'll never forget each other. The Lu family was the biggest family in the capital. Lu Tingxiao was a legend in the Chinese business industry. Although Yunshin had just emerged in China, his background was unfathomable. Mo Chinchio had purposely said two impossible names to make things difficult for her. After hearing these two names, Mo Chinchio didn't expect of Mo to bring her. She had expected Mo Chinchio to mention Lu Tingxiao, but she hadn't expected Mo Chinchio to add Yunshin. Hearing these two names appear at the same time, he felt a little strange. The most important thing now was to deal with them one by one. After Mo Chinchio finished speaking, Ning Shi decisively picked up her cell phone and made a call. Hello, sweetheart. I'm at the end of the corridor near the emergency exit. Can you come? Mo Chinchio frowned as he looked at Ning Shi. Who are you calling? Mo Chinchio frowned and looked at Ning Shi, who suddenly made a call. Who are you calling? Mo Chinchio frowned as he looked at Ning Shi. Who are you calling? Chapter 1484. Mo Chinchio frowned. Just now he heard Ning Shi call that man sweetheart on the phone, which sounded so disgusting. Was she calling that man? And judging from her voice, this man seemed to be one of the men in the private room tonight. Who could it be? Or was this damned woman playing tricks on him again? Was she deliberately mystifying things? Mo Chinchio stared at her warily. Tang Shi, what the hell are you doing? Ning Shi shrugged innocently. I'm trying to solve the problem. Just keep your word and don't go back on your word. Mo Chinchio sneered. Are you going to tell me that your man is Yunshin? Speaking of this, Mo Chinchio's face changed slightly because he remembered that there seemed to be something wrong with the relationship between Ning Shi and Yunshin when they were in the crew. It was also rumored that Yunshin was Ning Shi's fan and invested in the crew for Ning Shi. Was Yunxin really Ningxi's man? However, when Ningxi told him that she had a man, it was when they were shooting a TV commercial together. At that time, Yunxin had just arrived in China, and he hadn't met Ningxi yet. Was this damn woman lying to him again? Mo Chinxiu was lost in thought when Ningxi shook her head and said, "You're wrong. Yunxin is the former, and Lu Tingxiao is the current." Mo Chinxiu was immediately jolted out of his thoughts by Ningxi's words. He was speechless and almost vomited blood. He frowned and said, "I must be crazy to talk nonsense with you for so long. How much wine did you drink tonight?" Ningxi spread out her hands. Does no one believe the truth nowadays? Blue veins bulged on Mo Chinxiu's forehead. It was obvious that he wouldn't believe a word of her. Fuck the truth. It's because I believe in your nonsense that I ended up like this. But I didn't lie to you this time. Get lost. The two of them were quarreling when steady and powerful footsteps sounded from afar. Mo Chinxiu subconsciously turned his head and saw a tall figure. The man was wearing a black suit. His face was as cold as frost, and his aura was oppressive. He walked towards him and Ningxi and finally stopped in front of them. Lu Tingxiao? What was he doing here? Did he also come for air? Was he tricked by Ningxi? Just as countless thoughts flashed through Mo Chinxiu's chaotic mind, Ningxi suddenly threw herself at Lu Tingxiao, threw herself at him, threw herself at Lu Tingxiao. Not only that, but what shocked him even more was that after Ningxi pounced on Lu Tingxiao, she actually put her arms around Lu Tingxiao's neck, and then without saying a word, she pulled Lu Tingxiao's neck down and directly kissed him forcefully. Mo Chinxiu's face was full of confusion as he stared blankly at the scene in front of him until a sharp pain came from his fingertips. It was the end of the cigarette that had burned his fingers. On the phone, Lu Tingxiao didn't ask why Ningxi asked him to go there, but he didn't expect to see Mo Chinxiu there. Lu Tingxiao's eyes flashed. Before he could say anything, his wife had already taken the initiative to throw herself into his arms. Lu Tingxiao's eyes flick. Then he and said and Ning Yin thought. She's and said, and he, Yin I Lu. Chapter 1485. Like a puppy, Ningxi hugged the man and nibbled at him, her eyes full of possessiveness. Lu Tingxiao chuckled and gently rubbed the girl's head, his tone doting and indulgent. "What are you doing now?" Ningxi hugged Lu Tingxiao and snorted as she looked at Mo Chinxiu, who was petrified. "Nothing. It's just boring to be alone. I asked you to come over and play with me." Lu Tingxiao glanced at Mo Chinxiu. How could he not know what Ningxi was thinking? Helping his wife deal with his rival in love and acting as his wife's shield was naturally something that he could not ask for and would gladly endure. Moreover, he had been in love with Ningxi for so long, and it was rare for Ningxi to reveal his identity. At this moment, Lu Tingxiao was no longer cold and aloof. He looked at the girl tenderly, leaned forward, and kissed the corner of her lips. "Are you going home?" Ningxi nodded. "I've wanted to go home for a long time. It's all Jiang Mai's fault for tricking me into coming out." It wasn't until the two of them had left that Mo Chinxiu, who was behind them, came to his senses and said anxiously, "Wait." Ningxi paused and turned to look at Mo Chinxiu. "Hey, you're a man. Are you going to go back on your word?" Mo Chinxiu ignored Ningxi. Obviously, he was afraid of being tricked by Ningxi. Even now, he still couldn't believe her. He stared at Lu Tingxiao and said, "President Lu, may I ask what your relationship is with Ningxi? Who is Ningxi to you?" Mo Chinxiu clenched his fists, thinking that these two might just be putting on a show. Maybe they were just lovers, bedmates, or even nothing more. After all, Lu Tingxiao had claimed to the public that he already had a girlfriend. This damned woman. She said she was different from him, but in fact, she was the same. Lu Tingxiao looked at the man in front of him expressionlessly and replied calmly, "My future wife." With that, he turned to leave with Ningxi in his arms, ignoring Mo Chinxiu's expression. Behind him, Mo Chinxiu's face was blank. He was completely stunned. Lu Tingxiao's rumored girlfriend was Ningxi. He thought Ningxi was drunk, but it turned out to be true. Lu Tingxiao was really her current. Then Yunxin, was he really her predecessor? Mo Chinchio did not dare to continue thinking about it. Ever since he had known this woman, she had never acted according to the rules. When Lu Tingxiao came to find her, he had already said goodbye to the people in the private room and left first. Lu Tingxiao went to the garage to wait for her. She went to say goodbye to the people in the private room and left first. When she returned, Yunshin wasn't there. It seemed that he had also left early. On the way home, tonight, she finally got through without any mishap. She said with a relieved expression, "Alas, I finally got one. Honestly, sweetheart, you're really too useful. It was the ultimate peach blossom destroyer." Judging from Mo Chinchio's expression, I'm sure he won't bother me for the rest of his life. TSK. Only Lu Tingxiao could solve her romantic crisis. Lu Tingxiao chuckled. Thank you for the compliment. But there's one more flower that won't be so easy to cut. Alas, what should I use to cut it off? She murmured. She thought Lu Tingxiao didn't hear her. However, a moment later, Lu Tingxiao's calm voice came from the side. Marriage certificate. Shi. Ah, how ruthless. Chapter 1486. Shi went to Lin Jiji's place in the middle of the night in order to save enough dowry to get her hands on the ultimate marriage certificate. Lin Jiji did not go home after the charity event. Instead, she went to the company with Xiao Tao and the rest of the PR department. This time, Ning Shua's so-called wedding of the century was completely messed up. It was impossible for Starlight Entertainment to do nothing, so as soon as the event ended, Lin Jiji immediately mobilized her people and made all the necessary preparations to deal with Starlight Entertainment's tricks. The next morning, all the newspapers and the internet were filled with reports about the wedding of the Ning and Ning families. Unlike what everyone had expected, all the reports about the wedding were accompanied by the name of Ningxi and a charity event that was previously unknown to everyone. Ningxi's charity foundation ceremony was filled with VIP guests, killed the wedding of the century, the secret behind Ning Shua's wedding of the century, the charity of the century versus the wedding of the century. The reports described the entire process in great detail. Ning Shua's wedding went from being filled to the brim to being completely empty, and the extravagance upstairs was enough to shock the entire capital. Pfft, what a joke. Let's see how Starlight Entertainment is going to be so smug in the future. They were killed by our golden era. That's right. A small charity event from our golden era is enough to crush their wedding of the century. Ever since Su Yimo's downfall, many people have been saying that golden era is on the verge of collapse. Let's see if they still dare to say anything now. It's a piece of cake for golden era to get another female star. I'm afraid there's going to be another Su Yimo. I don't think so. Ningxi hasn't changed at all since she took over. She's still a good person. She even helped me when I was bullied by Meng Shi on set. Speaking of which, last time my program was intercepted by Starlight, it was Ning Shi who helped me solve it. Brother, she is very powerful. With just a few words, the director was so scared that he immediately returned the program to me. Su Yimo only knew how to exploit us when she was around, especially female artists like us who had a conflict of resources with her. She kept a close eye on us, as if she was afraid that we would take away her position. But Ning Shi is quite protective. That's the difference between having and not having power. With Brother Shi's power, he's not worried about being taken away. Compared to the relaxed atmosphere of Golden Age entertainment, the entire Starlight Entertainment was shrouded in a layer of dark clouds. Yesterday, more than half of the company's people had gone to Ning Shua's wedding to support her. Seeing Ning Shua's embarrassment, even they had lost face. Of course, there were also many who rejoiced in his misfortune in Chang Li's office. On the first day of the wedding, Ning Shulua arrived early. At that moment, the expression on her face was unprecedented. Chang Li was so busy that she finally got some time. Shualuo, let them be happy for a while. I'll leak out all the information that I've prepared in the afternoon. This time, I'll definitely make Ning Shi suffer. Hearing Chang Li's words, Ning Shua's expression did not ease at all. She had taken action, but it did not mean that Lin Jiji would not take precautions. It was unrealistic to rely on these to defeat Ning Shi. She needed more effective means. Chapter 1487. A few days ago, the internet was still full of celebrities showing off Ning Xuelua's wedding invitations and gifts. Everyone was waiting to see how popular it would be after the actual wedding. In the end, no one expected that the wedding would end up like this. Ning Xuelua's grand wedding was slapped in the face by Ning Shi's small charity event. For a while, there were all kinds of voices on the internet. Some laughed at Ning Xuelua, some gossiped about Ning Shi's background, and many thought that Ning Xuelua spent more than 1 billion yuan on a wedding banquet. On the other hand, the first thing Ning Shi did after becoming famous was to do charity. Soon, this netizen's comment became a hot topic. For a while, those who were dissatisfied with Ning Xuelua's grand wedding came out to comment. Ning Xuelua is not holding her own wedding. She is giving the media a wedding. It's just for show. I wanted to say that Feng Yilan, who just won the Nobel Prize and won such an honor for the country, didn't get any attention. Instead, the whole world is talking about a female artist's wedding. Can this society be good? I think the charity headquarters and the higher-ups can't stand it anymore, so they deliberately did this to correct the atmosphere of the entertainment industry. Originally, the internet was full of ridicule and accusations against Ning Xuelua, but in the afternoon, the trend gradually changed. Be that as it may, don't you think there's something strange about this whole thing from beginning to end? Why does Ning Shi's charity event happen to be on the same day as Ning Xuelua's wedding? And they are both upstairs and downstairs. Even if all this is the intention of the higher-ups, there are so many veterans in the entertainment industry. Why did they choose Ning Shi, a female artist who became famous overnight? Wedding is the most important thing in a woman's life. What's wrong with making it grand when they can? Ning Xuelua is not the only one who does this. It's too unfair to only blame her, isn't it? But Ning, she makes me feel that this charity event is too deliberate. It's like a show. This charity foundation is very complicated. Do you think artists really set up a charity foundation to make money? Have you forgotten the scandals of Wang Li and Fang Yihua? In the end, the public opinion was led to 3 points. Ning Shi deliberately chose this day to steal Ning Xue's limelight. Ning Shi had a backer, and Ning Shi used charity funds to make money. The first 2 were still manageable. Almost all female stars would encounter such scandals. Without any evidence, the rumors would disappear in a few days. However, the latter was serious enough to destroy an artist. The scandal of Wang Li's donation fraud had caused her reputation to plummet. Chapter 1488. Not long after Ning Shi clarified, Ning Xuelua immediately shifted the focus. After all, they also knew that the first 2 points couldn't bring Ning Shi down, so they focused on the third point. Soon, people who claimed to be insiders began to expose all kinds of rumors, claiming that Ning Shi was insidious, hypocritical, embezzled charity funds, and made a lot of money in the name of charity. They made it sound as if they were hiding under Ning Shi's bed every day and knew everything. Because this matter also involved the higher-ups. If Ning Shi made such a scandal, the higher-ups would never sit idly by. Even if it was due to the pressure of public opinion, they would definitely investigate it thoroughly. Although Chang Li didn't have definite evidence, there were too many stars in the entertainment circle who did this. She was sure that Ning Shi couldn't be clean. As long as she made a big fuss about this matter on the internet, the higher-ups would intervene. As long as they found something dirty, Ning Shi would be completely doomed. Xuelua, do you know how much Ning Shi's villa in Peach Blossom Dock is worth? Also, she recently bought a few sports cars. Even if she's popular now, it's only been a few days. How could she have gotten so much money so quickly? Even if she added up all her acting fees and endorsements, it still wouldn't be enough for her to be so extravagant. There must be something fishy going on, Chang Li said confidently. Oh, of course, Ning Xuelua sneered. Did Ning Shi think that she could be free from worries just because she had a relationship with Zhuang Keber and the higher-ups? Now she was going to use this to hasten her death. With Ning Shuilua's full effort to add fuel to the fire, all kinds of rumors soon spread on the internet. Many netizens didn't have the ability to judge. They just stood by the side of the public opinion. At present, things were going in the direction Ning Shuilua predicted. She didn't believe that the Zhuang family would still be indifferent to Ning Shi's matter. Would the Zhuang family allow her to be dragged into this? She couldn't find anything fishy about Ning Shi, but if the Zhuang family took action, they could definitely. However, this time, Ning Shuil miscalculated again. Chongli first started with Ning Shi's character. She made up all kinds of facts to smear Ning Shi, saying that she was hypocritical and made a show of charity, so that people would gradually believe that Ning Shi would embezzle charity funds. However, when the matter was almost ready to put pressure on the higher-ups to carry out a thorough investigation, Ning Shi's official Weibo suddenly released a piece of information. Ning Shi's charity work over the years, there were money orders like snowflakes and letters of gratitude from students who were sponsored. They had been there since Ning Shi was 18 years old, rain or shine, and they had never stopped. If Ning Shi's charity work was just for show and to suppress her peers, then what about before she entered the entertainment circle and became famous? Why did she have to do these things without a break? There was no need for Lin Jiji to do anything else. The reporters flocked to the various mountain areas, welfare homes, and other places to interview and collect evidence. If it was only one or two families or one or two people, it might be possible that Ning Shi was faking it. However, after searching everywhere, it was confirmed to be true. In an instant, the entire internet was in an uproar, and the public opinion was instantly reversed. At first, no one understood why the higher-ups chose Ning Shi and even made her the charity ambassador. But now they understood. Chapter 1489. At this moment, many people were paying attention to the situation on the internet. The Zhuang family. In the living room, Zhuang Liao Yuan, Zhuang Zongren, and Meng Linlang were all there. They already knew what had happened on the internet. It was obvious that someone was deliberately promoting this matter. If they couldn't solve it well, it would be very troublesome. What was more tricky was that as long as they intervened, even if the final result of the investigation proved that Xiaxi was innocent, the rumors on the internet would not disappear, because the other party could continue to manipulate the public opinion and say that they deliberately shielded Ningxi because they had to take Ningxi's reputation into account. They had more concerns. At this moment, the three of them were discussing how to solve this problem, when Zhuang Keber, who had been staring at the computer, suddenly screamed excitedly and ran to them with the computer. "Dad, Mom, Grandpa, look!" The three of them looked at each other and then looked at the computer screen together. Then they saw the dense remittance records and the children's thank you letters, as well as childish words and drawings. Zhuang Keber turned to the latest news she had just found, which were all interviews by reporters, including the dean, the village teacher, and most of them were the faces of innocent children. "Yes, Sister Xiaxi came here the day before yesterday. She brought us a lot of delicious food and books. I like Sister Xiaxi the most. When will Sister Xiaxi come to see us again?" Not only interview materials, but those reporters also got a lot of old video materials. Looking at these, Zhuang Keber looked proud. "I told you that you don't have to worry about this matter at all." For some reason, no matter what happened, she had a kind of blind confidence in Xiaxi. Even though she knew that Ning Shui was her cousin, she still stood by Ning Shi's side without hesitation. Now the public opinion on the internet was instantly reversed. The previous rumors against Ning Shi, and even the unfavorable remarks and doubts about the government and the charity association suddenly disappeared. So naturally, they didn't need to intervene at all, which was undoubtedly the best result. Looking at the video materials, Zhuang Zongren sighed, and his heart was full of regret. Such a good child, but she suffered so much for no reason. Meng Linlang knew what Zhuang Zongren was thinking and immediately said with a smile, "Dad, you should be glad that Ningxi didn't grow up with her parents. Otherwise, she would have been led astray by them. Isn't it better now?" "Ahem." Zhuang Liao Yuan coughed. Although his wife's words were explicit, they were also true. Of course, it wasn't enough to turn the tables. Lin Jiji naturally had to fight back. In fact, she didn't even have to do anything on purpose. People on the internet had already figured out who was behind this. As a result, Ning Shihua, who had just been ignored, was once again pushed to the forefront. Now I know that you really can't judge a book by its cover. Who said that all beauties are poisonous? Ningxi is actually quite pitiful. Everyone says that she relied on her face to get to where she is today, but I don't see how she relied on her face at all. Instead, she was treated unfairly because of her face. Haha, it's not that I want to say this, but with my brother she's good looks. If she really wanted to rely on her face, why would she work so hard in the entertainment circle? She would have become the wife of a rich man. Now, some people should shut up. Can he go back in time and do these things 5 years ago? Someone's way of diverting attention is really good. As for who those people are, I don't think I need to tell you, right? Chapter 1490. Chongli fell into the chair, her face ashen. They had completely miscalculated this time. No matter how much they thought about it, they never expected that Lin Jiji would be able to produce such evidence. Ningxi had been doing charity work before she entered the entertainment industry. Now, no matter what they said, it was useless. Ningxi's popularity, reputation, and image all soared, which was like a free hype for Ningxi. The effect was much better than Lin Jiji's own publicity of Ningxi's charity work. They had worked so hard for so long, but it was all for someone else. At this moment, Chongli even began to regret helping Ning Shuo against Ningxi. She found that things were getting out of her control. It would have been fine if it had happened once or twice, but it had happened so many times. It was definitely not a coincidence. Ningxi was indeed very difficult to deal with. As expected, the next second, she heard a loud noise and Ning Shuo's angry curses. Ning Shuo's temper was getting worse and worse, and her life was getting harder and harder. Everyone knew how gentle and dignified Ning Shuo was, but only she knew what the real Ning Shuo was like. She knew so many of Ning Shuo's secrets, and it was too late to regret it now. She met Ning Shi and Lin Jiji occasionally, and saw Ning Shi treating Lin Jiji kindly and getting along with them as if they were friends. It was impossible to say that she didn't have any feelings. Ning Shuo finally finished venting her anger and said with a vicious look, "Don't panic. I told you that Ning, she is just meat on my chopping board. No matter how high she jumps, she will die as long as I want her to." But now that they had each other's weaknesses, it was not time for her to fall out with Ning Shi. Even if they fell out with each other, Ning Shi would definitely die a more miserable death. She still had to do what she had to do. Otherwise, Ning Shua would take the opportunity to lose her temper again. Chongli covered her bleeding arm, which had been injured by the flying porcelain shards, and forced herself to say, "Now we can only keep a low profile for a while and let the public opinion die down. I've just received news that The Mountain has been nominated for this year's Golden Horse Awards. You've been nominated for Best Actress. I'll find a suitable time to release this news. Also, I'm in talks with director Robert. It shouldn't be difficult to get a role. As an actress, in the end, everyone still looks at the work of an artist." Ning Shua pinched her eyebrows, and her face was gloomy. She had spent so much effort and finally got this nomination. In addition, she had just gotten a role in a Hollywood blockbuster. Although it was just a cameo for a few minutes, it was not easy for an Oriental face to show up in Hollywood. This meant that she would officially enter the international market, and her career would start a new chapter. How could Ning Shi, a bitch who had fallen to the point of acting in a TV series, compare with her? Keep an eye on Ning Shi. She didn't believe that she couldn't get anything on her. Hearing this, Chongli could only agree. In fact, Lin Jiji was guarding Ning Shi like an iron bucket. In addition, she vaguely felt that there was another force in the dark. She had investigated for so long, but didn't find any clues. Even if she continued, it would just be a waste of time. However, it was impossible for her to tell Ning Shuo about this. Even if she did, she would only get a scolding for not doing her job well. Chapter 1491. For Ning Shuo, the entertainment industry wasn't the most troublesome thing. She had more important things to do than deal with Ning Shi. She asked Chong Li to help her turn down all her recent jobs and spent all her time with Su Yin, especially to please Zheng Minjun. Originally, if the Zhuang family had attended her wedding, her position as the eldest daughter-in-law of the Su family would have been secured. But now, she had to bow down to that bitch, Zhao Shanshan, and listen to her sarcasm and ridicule. Mom, History will be invited to Lorraine Fashion Week soon. These are the first row tickets. Mom, you can go and have a look when you have time. Zheng Minjun took the tickets and looked very happy. Not everyone could get these tickets, let alone the front row seats. Thank you, Xueluo. You are so considerate. Ning Xueluo smiled obediently. You're welcome, Mom. Just then, Zhao Shanshan came downstairs with a newspaper in her hand. She deliberately approached Su Yan's mother and Ning Xueluo and said sarcastically, "Oh, the daughter of a rich family is indeed the daughter of a rich family. Mom, look at her manners. She's been doing good deeds for so many years without leaving her name. She's a real daughter of a rich family. She has the blood of a rich family flowing in her veins. She's noble in her bones. She's not as petty as some people. She can't wait to advertise her achievements all over the world." You? Ning Xueluo was trembling with anger. This Zhao Shanshan's mouth was too poisonous. She had to do something, or she would always be in a passive position in the Su family. All right, Shanshan. Stop talking. Xueluo is your sister-in-law. Compared to Zhao Shanshan, who was Su Sun's wife, she was naturally on Su Yan's wife's side, even though Zhao Shanshan's words poked at her the most. Ning Xueluo's background was indeed the biggest thorn in her heart. I'm just telling the truth. Isn't she a country chicken? Ever since Zhao Shanshan found out that this title could make Ning Xueluo lose control, she had been incessantly provoking her. Just then, a little maid that Ning Shu brought with her after she got married suddenly rushed over and said angrily, "Second madam, you've gone too far. Our young miss has just entered the door, and you're already bullying her like this. Our miss was brought up by our madam. She is the most educated and reasonable girl. She is not petty at all. It is Ningxi, who was raised in the countryside. Do you think she is really as good as she looks?" Hearing this, Ning Xueluo immediately said with a pained and wronged expression, "Little Ling, stop. Xueluo, why are you stopping her? Let her speak. Little Ling, what's going on? What did Ningxi do?" Zheng Minjun immediately asked. In fact, she had felt a little strange at that time. Why did her son, who was determined to be with Ning Shi, suddenly break up with her? At that time, she had thought that it was normal for her son to fall in love with someone else after seeing the better Ning Xueluo. At that time, she was immersed in the joy that her son had finally figured it out and Ning Shi had finally been sent abroad by the Ning family, so she did not look into it. But now she found that things seemed to be a bit unusual. Seeing Ning Xueluo's hint, Xiaoling was about to tell her what Ning Xueluo meant. Ning Shi. Just then, an extremely cold and angry rebuke came from the door. "Shut up." It was Su Yin who spoke. Su Yin, who had always been as gentle as jade, had an unprecedentedly terrible look on his face. Xiaoling was so scared that she didn't dare to say a word and couldn't help trembling. Chapter 1492. Even Ning Xueluo was shocked by Su Yan's reaction. "Brother Yin, I'm sorry. I didn't teach this girl well. Go and settle this month's salary with the butler," Su Yin said coldly. Xiaoling was terrified. "Young master, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Please don't drive me away. Brother Yin, please spare her this time. Xiaoling has always been by my side and has been taking care of me for so many years. This time, I just couldn't stand it anymore." Ning Xueluo looked at Zhao Shanshan with tears in her eyes. "All right, that's enough. You just got married. Don't make such a fuss on your wedding day. Xiaoling, get out of here. Shanshan, go back to your room," Zheng Minjun said unhappily. Zhao Shanshan curled her lips and left with a dark face. Ning Xueluo was really good at pretending to be pitiful. No wonder Su Yin was always under her control. "Su Yin, why are you so angry? You should at least listen to what she wants to say." Zheng Minjun sighed. Su Yin frowned. "Mom, you know I hate it when servants talk about the master's business. What she wants to say is nothing more than Xiaoxi's lack of social etiquette when she first came back to the Ning family. What else can she say? Zheng Minjun thought about it. What could a little girl like Xiaoling know? That was probably what she wanted to say, so she didn't ask further. However, seeing her son's protective attitude, she couldn't help but think too much. After all, she was born in her belly. She knew Xiaoxi best. Could it be that Su Yin still had feelings for her? A moment later, in Su Yin and Ning Shuo's room upstairs. Brother Yin, are you still angry with me? Ning Shuo walked carefully to the balcony. What did Xiaoling want to say to Mom just now? Su Yin stood by the balcony railing. His expression melted into the night, and his voice was slightly cold. Ning Shuo panicked, but soon calmed down. What else could it be? Xiaoxi's lack of social etiquette and caused trouble back then. Su Yin turned around and took a deep look at the woman beside him. His expression was extremely serious. Shuo, remember what I told you. What happened back then had a great impact on Ningxi. You can't let anyone know about it, including everyone in my family. What's more, it was our fault. Big brother Yin, of course I know how much this matter will affect big sister. How could I speak carelessly outside? Brother Yin, you don't believe me? Are you suspecting that I purposely wanted Xiaoling to tell Mom about this? Ning Shuo's face was filled with disbelief. She was on the verge of breaking down. Su Yin remained silent. He had interrupted Xiaoling in time just now. Now, there was no way to find out what Xiaoling wanted to say at the time. At that moment, Ning Shuo's face was already covered in tears. She staggered a step back, and her eyes were filled with despair. Brother Yin, am I that kind of person in your heart? Su Yan's expression softened when he saw the girl's extreme sadness and thought about the grievances she had suffered over the past 2 days. That's not what I meant. I'm just reminding you. Don't cry. I was too harsh. I'm sorry. Ning Shuo sobbed and threw herself into Su Yan's arms. Brother Yin, I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I just want to be with you. I just want to marry you. Why do they have to say that about me? Chapter 1493. Zhao Shanshan, ignore her. After spending some time with Mom and Dad, we'll move out of the mansion. As for the rumors on the internet, don't read them anymore. People who believe in you will believe you, Su Yin said. Ning Shuo looked upset. Brother Yin, do you think I'm better? I don't deserve you with my background. What are you talking about? If I cared about that, why would I be with you? Su Yin frowned and patted the girl's back. I'll take you out in a few days. I've already booked a place for our honeymoon. Don't think too much. Ning Shula nodded in the man's arms. Yes, Brother Yin, I don't want anything right now. I just want to give you a child, in order not to be in a passive position. She was going to tell Zheng Minjun about Ning, she's scandal through Xiaoling. She didn't expect Su Yin to see it, and he had such a big reaction. What made her even more uneasy was Su Yan's attitude towards Ning Shi. It didn't seem like he was just feeling guilty. Now that Su Yin was suspicious of her, she could only let it go for now. When she was pregnant with Su Yan's child, the eldest grandson of the Su family, she didn't believe that Zheng Minjun and Su Hongguang would still have anything to say. Whether it was for the Su family or the Ning family, this child was very important. She couldn't tolerate any more mistakes. The next day, Ning Shuo took the time to call the Tang family. It was the first time in years that she took the initiative to call the Tang family. On the other end of the phone, Sun Lan sounded very excited. She seemed to be in disbelief. Hello? Shue. Shueluo. It's me. Shueluo. Why are you calling me? Is there something wrong? I wanted to go to your wedding, but I was afraid that you would be unhappy, so I didn't go. How have you been? Sun Lan asked carefully. Ning Shueluo said, send me your account number. Tell me how much you want, but only this once. Sun Lan immediately refused. No, it's been solved. The person who borrowed the money has returned it to us. Shueluo, I'm sorry. They came to us every day with knives. I had no choice but to ask Xiao Nua to go to the capital to find you. I really didn't mean to trouble you. All right, I don't have time to talk to you about this. Since it's settled, then forget it. Let me ask you, which city did Tang Nua apply for? Ning Shuoa asked. Sun Lan thought that Ning Shuoa was concerned about her brother, so she answered happily, Xiao Nuo. Just yesterday, Xiao Nuo told me that she was preparing to fill in the imperial capital for her application. This child, he had always wanted to enter the imperial capital since he was young. His results were not bad, so there shouldn't be any problems. He hasn't been out much since he was young, so I'm really worried about him. When he goes to university, I want to go and accompany him, but Xiao Nuo said I don't need to accompany him. Sigh. This is all in the future. We'll discuss it when the time comes. While Sun Lan was rambling on about her daily life, Ning Shuo was frowning more and more. Asked Tang Nuo to change his major and fill in another city. Sun Lan froze when she heard this. She didn't know how to react. If you still feel any guilt toward me and still treat me as your daughter, asked Tang Nuo to change her major and stay away from the capital. Ning Shuo was being straightforward. Chapter 1494. Of course I treat you as my daughter, but what does it have to do with which city Xiao Nuo applies for? Sun Lan was anxious. Ning Shuo's tone became even worse. Now Ning, she has exposed my identity. Even my husband's family knows that I am not the daughter of the Ning family, but the daughter of a village woman. Do you know how difficult and embarrassing my situation is now? Why did you ask Tang Nuo to come to the capital and come with him? Are you afraid that there aren't enough people who know about this? Sun Lan's heart ached when she heard the daughter of a village woman. She didn't expect that her daughter would despise them so much. Sun Lan's voice trembled. Shuo, I know it's difficult for you, but this is about Xiao Nuo's future. I don't have to come to the capital, but I'm afraid I can't change Xiao Nuo's choice. Xiao Nuo has been longing to go to the capital for a long time. If I tell him to change his choice now, how can he bear it? Ning Shuo sneered. Oh, you say you can do anything for me, but now it's about your son. Is this your so-called love? Shalano? Shuo, let me think about it, okay? This is not something I can decide alone. City C, Spring Breeze Town. In a low bungalow, Sun Lan sat at the table and wiped her tears. Tang Shan squatted on the threshold and smoked. The youth's face was full of anger. Why? Why should I change my choice? Who does she think she is? What right does she have to ask us to do this and that? You didn't raise her for a day. But what about her? Has she ever been filial to her? Who owes her anything? Sun Lan cried. Xiao Nuo, don't say that. She is your sister, and she is in a difficult situation now. She said that her identity has been exposed and her husband's family knows about it. She is in a very bad situation now. Tang Nuo's face darkened. So what if it is exposed? Shouldn't we have told everyone about this 5 years ago? Does she really think she is the daughter of the Ning family? All of this belongs to my sister. Sister she has occupied it for so many years. Isn't it enough? Mom, can you not be so selfish? Even if sister she is not your biological daughter, she has been in our family for 18 years. She is the first one to appear when we are in trouble. I didn't say anything bad about Cici. Now we're talking about Shueluo. What about your sister? She's worried that more people will find out about her if we go to the capital. I know it should be Cici's, but it wasn't easy for your sister to get to where she is today. She is just married into a family like that, so she must be having a hard time. If we are so close to her, even if we don't look for her and don't get discovered by anyone, she will still feel uncomfortable in her heart. She will always be on tenterhooks, not having a good time. She lived a life of luxury and married into a rich family. What was so hard about her life? After occupying someone else's things for so long, she deserved to be on tenterhooks. Mom, think about how she has treated us all these years. I really don't know what you have to feel guilty about. The youth was so angry that his face turned red. Dad, don't tell me you also agree to let me change my major? The young man looked at his father. Chapter 1495. While the mother and son argued, Tang Shan did not say a word. He did not have a mind of his own to begin with, and now he had no idea what to do. Hearing his son's question, he subconsciously glanced at his wife, then stammered, "Xiao Nuo, actually, what your mother said makes sense. You don't have to go to the capital. There are many good schools in other places. At most, you can go to a city that is closer to the capital. It's the same." Tang Nuo's face was full of disappointment and anger. "You guys, I will never change my major. I want to go to the capital. No one can stop me." Not only did he want to go to the capital since he was young, he wanted to go to the capital even more after Ningxi left. He missed his sister. He endured for so long, just so he could go to the capital one day. That way, he could be closer to his sister and see her often. Now, that person made him give up his goal and wish with just one sentence. What right did she have? She despised him for being a hindrance, and he hated her for causing him to lose his sister. "I heard you guys arguing the moment I came over. What are you guys arguing about? Xiao Nuo is going to have his exam soon. Are you guys going to let him study in peace? Don't tell me Sean lent money to someone again?" A gray-haired, stern-looking old lady walked over. "Grandma," Tang Nuo called out. "No, Mom. How could I?" Tang Shan quickly explained. Sun Lan panicked when she saw the old lady coming over. Her mother-in-law's husband died when she was young, and she raised her son single-handedly. She had the final say in the family. She was tough and powerful, so Sun Lan was afraid of her. "Then what's going on?" "Xiao Nuo, Grandma's good grandson. Come and tell Grandma." The old lady looked at Tang Nuo with an unusually kind expression. Tang Nuo's eyes lit up as if he had seen his savior. He immediately walked to the old lady and told her everything. The young man massaged the old lady's shoulders and said indignantly, "Grandma, because of such a ridiculous reason, my parents want me to change my major and not let me go to the capital. Grandma, you know, I've liked the capital since I was young. I even promised to take you to the capital to play." The old lady was furious when she heard this. "Nonsense! Who dares to make my good grandson change his major? Who did she think she was to change such an important matter just like that? A little hussy actually dares to meddle in our Tang family's affairs." Sun Lan secretly nudged her husband. Tang Shan had no choice but to say, "Mom, your words are too harsh. She's my daughter. Your granddaughter. Bullshit granddaughter. She hasn't eaten a single grain of rice from the Tang family. What kind of granddaughter is she? Since I gave it to someone else, then it belongs to someone else. I don't want to take advantage of her at all, and she shouldn't even think about interfering with our Tang family's matters, especially about Xiao Nuo." The old lady's voice was like a great bell. "Nothing is more important than my good grandson. If I hear you urging Ashan to let Xiao Nuo change her major again, you'll go back to your Sun family." Sun Lan didn't dare to speak, and Tang Shan didn't say anything either. Actually, how could they be willing to let their son suffer? It was just that they couldn't help but miss this daughter who had never grown up by their side. In the end, because of the old lady's intervention, the two of them finally gave up on the idea. Chapter 1496. After filming in the nearby film city, Ningxi followed the crew of Ninth Heaven to more than a dozen locations across the country for filming. Time flew by, and finally, they could go back to the capital after today's filming. After a few more scenes, Ninth Heaven would be finished. Coincidentally, today's filming location was in Sea City, and even more coincidentally, it was in the wheat field in Spring Breeze Town. In Heroes with the Wind, there was a scene where Mai Lang rolled in the sheets, and the last time she forced herself on her sweetheart in the car, it was also here. Too bad they didn't do it back then. Ko Mingyu didn't have any scenes recently, so she hadn't seen Lu Tingxiao for a long time. Ningxi wanted to go home to see Big Bun and Little Bun, but she was in Sea City right now, and she had promised Tang Nuo that she would come over for dinner, so she didn't have to go back and forth. She might as well take this opportunity to go to the Tang family's house. She had just contacted Tang Nuo when Lu Tingxiao called. "Hello, you're coming back today?" "Yeah, I suddenly remembered that I promised Xiano I would come back for dinner. I'm in Sea City today, so I'm going to head over for dinner after work, so I'll probably be back late," Ningxi said. "Don't rush back if it's too late. You can come back tomorrow. Yeah, got it. The meeting is about to start. I'm hanging up. Okay, go do what you need to do. I'm about to start work too. Ning, she was a little disappointed after she hung up. She hadn't seen her sweetheart for so long. Didn't she miss her at all? She even told her not to rush back tomorrow. Dusk fell. Today's filming was finally done. Ning, she said goodbye to the crew, then told Xiao Tao that she was going to visit a relative nearby, and then drove to the Tang family's house. There was a stretch of road to the Tang family's house that cars couldn't drive in. So Ning, she parked her car at the intersection and prepared to walk there. As soon as she got out of the car, she saw the familiar figure of the young man. Sis, Tang Nua seemed to be stunned for a moment after seeing her, then revealed a joyful expression. Ning, she didn't disguise herself as a country girl like last time. This time, she was her original appearance. After finishing work, she directly removed her makeup and changed into her usual clothes. Although she didn't put any makeup on her face, her skin was so fair that it could be broken by the wind. Her facial features were exquisite and beautiful. Her seaweed-like, slightly curly long hair matched with a light green long dress made her look fresh and stunning. Xiao Nua, why are you here? I'll pick you up, the young man said in a matter-of-fact tone, then looked at her a few times with sparkling eyes. Sis, the internet says that you're super good-looking. I didn't believe it at first. I thought they were photoshopped. Ning, she was speechless. Damn. Big sister's goods are all genuine, okay? Are you my biological brother? Ning, she just blurted out this sentence out of habit. She didn't realize it until she said it. For a moment, the sister and brother were inexplicably embarrassed. Ning, she hurriedly changed the subject. Come on, don't keep your parents waiting. Okay, Mom went out to buy groceries early in the morning when she knew you were coming, and Dad went fishing. They were so fresh. Tang Nua began to chat with Ning Shi. Oh, I almost forgot to praise you. You scored so high, you'll definitely get into Imperial City University. My brother is really awesome. Did you get the college entrance examination notice? Hurry up and take a photo for me to show off. Tang Nua scratched his head in embarrassment. Not yet. I'm waiting. Chapter 1497. They arrived at the Tang family's house. Sure enough, Sun Lan had prepared a table full of dishes. Tang Shan had been waiting at the door for a long time and immediately welcomed them in. Compared with the awkwardness last time, the atmosphere was much better this time. Although they were distant and polite, at least there was no awkward silence. Xiaoxi, come in, come in. I'm so sorry that I let you go without a meal last time. It's nothing. It's nothing. Do you need help? No need. Just wait for the meal. I have a bowl of soup here. Dinner will be ready soon. A moment later, the family of four sat around the table. Sun Lan looked at Ning Shi and looked embarrassed. A girl really changes 18 times between childhood and womanhood. I almost couldn't recognize you. Tang Shan also nodded with a sigh. Xiaoxi has become more beautiful. They didn't notice anything special about her last time, but now they deeply felt the change of their former daughter. Both her appearance and temperament were so strange. They were afraid that it would be awkward to talk about other topics, so they gradually talked about Tang Nua. Sun Lan and Tang Shan were very happy when they heard that Tang Nua had been admitted to a good university. This child has always wanted to be admitted to a university in the capital. Finally, his wish is fulfilled. A boy should go to a big city to have a look, Ningxi said. Tang Shan nodded. Yes, that's right. Seeing their son did so well, Sun Lan and Tang Shan were very glad that they had made the decision. If Xiao Nua had changed his major, he would have been held up, but the notice hasn't been sent. It's so worrying, Tang Shan said with a frown. What's the hurry? Can the notice still be sent? Sun Lan said angrily. As they were talking, Tang Nua's grandmother hurried over. When they saw the newcomer, they quickly stood up. Grandma, Mom, why are you here so late? The old lady ran a small restaurant in the town and usually lived in the restaurant. The old lady glanced at the person in the room. This is Grandma. She is my sister. My sister Tang Shi. Tang Nua quickly grabbed Ning Shi's arm. Tang. Tang she. Why is she back? The old lady was surprised, but she didn't have time to explain. She hurriedly took out a big envelope from her pocket and said to Tang Nua excitedly, Xiao Nua, your admission notice is here. What? Letter of acceptance. For a moment, all eyes fell on the envelope in the old lady's hand. Sigh. I can't rest. I have to go to the courier station every now and then to see if there's any letter from our Xiao Nua. Look, it's finally here. Quickly open it and read it to me. Old Madam Bai said happily. Tang Nua excitedly took the envelope, took a deep breath, and then opened the envelope. Sun Lan and Tang Shan excitedly surrounded him. Ningxi looked at the happy family of four and felt happy for Tang Nua. The next second, for some reason, Tang Nua's expression suddenly changed. It was indeed an acceptance letter inside, but it was not an acceptance letter from Imperial Capital University at all. Instead, it was a university in Xizang that was tens of thousands of miles away from Sea City and the Imperial capital. How could this be? This Xizang Technical College. I didn't even apply for this school. Why did I receive an acceptance letter from this school? Chapter 1498. What? Xizang. Sun Lan was dumbfounded. She was illiterate, so she could only urge her husband to find out what was going on. Tang Shan took the admission notice and looked at it. How could this be? Why is it not Capital University, but Xizang College? Did it send to the wrong address? But Xiao Nua's name is written on it. Although Sun Lan was illiterate, she could still recognize her son's name, Tang Nua. Old Madame Tang did not expect that her joyful visit would turn out like this. She anxiously pulled Tang Nua and asked, Xiao Nu, did you accidentally fill in the wrong application? Impossible. I definitely did not fill in any school in Xizang, and I checked it many times in advance. There's no mistake, Tang Nua said confidently. Then what's going on? Is it because there's someone with the same name and the Xizang school made a mistake? Mrs. Tang guessed. Tang Shan shook his head. It's unlikely that the school made a mistake. If Xiao Nua did not fill in this school, how could this school have Xiao Nua's information? Sun Lan's face turned pale. Xiao Nua, hurry up and find out what kind of school this is. Tang Nua had already been checking. He looked up from his phone. It's a second-tier college. Because of its remote location, it has government support. You can get in with just over 300 points, second. Xiao Nua's score is for the Key High School. How could it become such a lousy school? It's so far away, and it takes 2 days and 2 nights by train. I heard that place is chaotic and the security is bad. How could Xiao Nua go to school there? What should we do? Sun Lan was so anxious that she started crying. Tang Shan panicked. Why don't we wait a little longer? Maybe we'll get an admission letter from Capital University in a few days? Sun Lan said angrily. The teacher said it's impossible. How could she be accepted by 2 schools at the same time? If she's really accepted by this school, she can't go to Capital University. What a sin. Why is my Xiao Nua so unfortunate? Stop crying. What's the use of crying? Mrs. Tang was even angrier when she saw Sun Lan like this. At this time, Ningxi, who had been silent, couldn't help saying, It's too late now. We can't contact them. Let's call the relevant schools and departments tomorrow. Hearing Ningxi's words, Sun Lan nodded repeatedly. Yes, let's call them and ask them. There must be a mistake somewhere. Tang Nua held the notice tightly and did not speak. Tang Shan drooped his head. That's the only way. Old Madame Tang glanced at Ningxi and didn't refute. That night, the Tang family discussed the issue of Tang Nua for a long time, but there was no conclusion. Sister, it's too late now. It's not safe for you to drive back. Why don't you stay here for the night? Tang Nua cheered himself up and said to Ningxi. Ningxi thought about it and finally nodded. Okay. Originally, she was going to rush back to the capital tonight, but now that Tang Nua had such an accident, she was really worried, so she agreed to stay and then sent a text message to Lu Tingxiao to explain the situation. Chapter 1499. Sister, you can sleep in my room. I've just washed and dried the bed sheets. Tang Nua said. After receiving Ning Shi's call in the morning, he washed the bed sheets himself, thinking that she could stay there for one night if it was too late. Ning Shi used to sleep in a small woodshed. She hadn't been there for many years, so she couldn't live in that room anymore. Where will you sleep? Ning Shi asked. I'll sleep on the floor in the living room, Tang Nua said casually. At this time, Mrs. Tang, who was talking to her son and daughter-in-law, changed her face. How can you do that? What if you catch a cold? Grandma, I'm a man. It doesn't matter if I sleep on the floor. I can't let a girl sleep on the floor, can I? No, you're so weak. The floor is wet and damp. How can you sleep on it? Mrs. Tang insisted and looked at Ning Shi as if she had murdered her own grandson. Ahem. Ning Shi coughed. Shana, don't bother. I'll just stay in a nearby hotel for the night. That's even worse. The conditions there are poor, and the environment is messy. Tang Nua frowned, looked at the stubborn old lady Tang, and then at Ning Shi, and finally said, It's better to stay at home. Sis, you can sleep in the living room. I'll make a thick bed for you. Okay. Looking at Tang Nua's eyes, Ning Shi had to nod. Mrs. Tang didn't say anything and pulled her son and daughter-in-law aside. I haven't asked you yet. Why did this wicked girl come here today? Tang Shan coughed. Ahem. Mom, she's a rich girl now. She's not your granddaughter. She ate so much rice for nothing, but it turned out to be someone else's. I told you to throw her away, but you didn't listen. Look at it now. You've raised your daughter for so many years for nothing. Old Madame Tang's face was filled with pain. Tang Shan hurriedly pulled his mother away and said in a low voice, Mom, don't say any more. If we throw her away and she comes looking for us, we'll be in real trouble. As they talked, Tang Shan and Sun Lan saw the old lady off and went into the bedroom. Tang Nua buried his head and began to make a mattress in the living room. Done. Thank you. Ning Shi was about to lie down, but was pulled up by Tang Nua. What are you doing, sister? You really know how to sleep here? I was just bluffing. How could a man like me really let a girl sleep on the floor? Hurry up and sleep in the room. Ning Shi was stunned when she heard that. She seemed to recall something, and her eyes reddened slightly. The next second, she took a step forward and pulled the youth into her arms, not letting him see her moist eyes. Damn child, Tang Nua scratched his head innocently. Sis, what's wrong? Ever since he was young, this child had always been like this, always protecting her. Ning Shi adjusted her mood and released Tang Nua. I'm fine. Sis, hurry up and go to sleep. You'll get dark circles under your eyes if you stay up late. All right, I won't argue with a man like you. All right, don't worry too much about the admission letter. It'll be fine. Ning Shi comforted him. At the mention of this, Tang Nua's face darkened. He smiled bitterly. How can I not worry? I've been looking forward to it for so many years. I've worked so hard. Actually, sis, I'm about to die of sadness. I'm so scared. What if I really can't get into Imperial University? Ning Shi smiled and ruffled the youth's hair. Don't worry. Sis promises that you'll be able to get in. Chapter 1500. The next morning, old lady Tang rushed over to urge her son and daughter-in-law to make a phone call. Of course, no one picked up the phone because it was still early. Old lady Tang, Tang Shan, and Sun Lan all looked haggard. It was obvious that they hadn't slept all night. As for Tang Nua, she didn't know if it was because of Ning Shilin's comforting words before going to bed, but he fell asleep. Finally, it was time to go to work. Tang Shan immediately began to call the phone number of the Shijiang Technical College. Because he was too nervous, he stuttered and couldn't speak clearly. Finally, Tang Nua took the phone and asked the other side and turned on the speaker. Hello, is this the admissions office of Shijiang Technical College? I'm Tang Nua, a senior in C City's Yulin Middle School. I received the admission notice from your school yesterday, but I didn't fill in your application. I want to ask your school to check if there's a mistake. You received the admission notice? Yes. Since you received the admission notice, You were accepted by our school. What can go wrong? But my application didn't. Then you must have filled in the wrong application. You should go to the relevant department in your city or county or ask your teacher. I'm going to ask. If it's confirmed that your school didn't make a mistake, go check your application first. Call me if it's correct. The other side hung up the phone. What's with the teacher's attitude? How can he make excuses when it concerns Xiaonua's life? How can he help me check? Old Lady Tang was angry. Forget it. I guess he's busy. Xiao, you should call the admissions office and check it. Tang Shan said. Tang Nua frowned and had to call the admissions office. He was very sure that he didn't fill in the wrong application. But since Shijiang said so, he had to confirm it again. They went through a lot of twists and turns to check the application form. Finally, in the afternoon, the admissions office called back. The final result made everyone despair. That's right, your first choice is indeed Shijiang Technical College. That's impossible. I didn't fill in this school. I filled in Capital University. Tang Nua said excitedly. Teacher, can't you change it? Sun Lan asked cautiously. If every student was like you guys and didn't choose a good university, they could just say that they didn't apply for this school, and I would change it for them. Do you think that's possible? My teacher can prove it. Tang Nua immediately said. The staff member sneered. Who knows if you guys are in cahoots? Let me tell you, I've seen a lot of people like you. You're already the third one today. I really didn't fill it in wrongly. All right, stop pestering me. Now, you can either go to this school in the Western Frontier or repeat for a year. The person on the other end of the line hung up the phone. The room was dead silent. Tang Nua's eyes were red as he clenched his fists tightly. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I didn't fill it in wrongly. At this moment, Ningxi muttered to herself, was it changed by someone? She naturally believed that Tang Nua wouldn't make such a low-level mistake. More importantly, Tang Nua didn't even know about this academy beforehand, nor did he consider it as a candidate. How could he magically fill in the wrong information? Chapter 1501. What? What should we do? Sun Lan sobbed, completely at a loss. Old Madame Tang panicked. Could it really have been changed by someone? Who the hell is it? Tang Shan said. Can't the teacher testify? Sun Lan said. He said he can't. Besides, we don't know if the teacher made a mistake. Who knows if the teacher will testify in order to avoid responsibility? As soon as she said that, their faces were filled with despair. Tang Nua looked dazed and then picked up the phone again. He called the county's education bureau, the examination center, the school, and all the other places, but all he got was a standard answer. If the file was really from Shijiang, then he had no choice but to go to Shijiang. Is there really no other way? Sun Lan was in a trance. Tang Shan squatted there smoking. We have no power. What else can we do? We can only accept it, Mrs. Tang panted with anger. No way. This isn't over. I'll get justice for Xiao Nu, even if I have to. I'll sleep in front of the admissions office every day. I don't believe no one will take care of this. Tang Shan said helplessly, Mom, you're already so old. Don't make a fuss. Old Nyo's family from the neighboring village has been arguing about his son for 3 years without any results. A few days ago, someone even broke his leg. We don't have any power. Who would listen to you? Tang Nua looked defeated. Grandma, don't be impulsive. Forget it. I'll just take the exam again. Ningxi was in an awkward position and couldn't intervene in the Tang family's affairs, but she had to say something. I'll make a phone call and see if I can find someone to help. As soon as she said that, everyone in the Tang family turned to look at her. Xiaoxi, can you find someone to help? Sun Lan asked, suppressing her excitement. Tang Shan also looked at her. Ningxi thought about her words. It shouldn't be a big problem. Don't worry. Mrs. Tang snorted and said grumpily, You talk big. You're just an actress. What can you do? Tang Nua thought of something and looked uneasy. He pulled Ningxi aside and said, Sister, I'm fine. Don't bother others for me. He knew that she didn't have a good relationship with the Ning family. She was what she was today because of him. He didn't want her to beg others for his sake. She smiled carelessly. What trouble? I'm looking for your brother-in-law. Ah? Brother-in-law? I have a brother-in-law? Tang Nuo was stunned. I'll tell you later. I'll make the call first. Ningxi patted Tang Nuo's shoulder and went to the back of the house to make the call. Hello? The man's reassuring voice came from the other end of the phone. Hey, sweetheart, I might need your help with something. It's the thing I mentioned to you last night. About your brother's admission letter? Yes, Xiao Nuo's application might have been tampered with. Okay, I got it. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. The reply on the other end of the phone was simple and clear. When Ningxi came back from the call, Sun Lan immediately went up to her. Xiaoxi, have you called? What did they say? He said he would give me an answer as soon as possible, Ningxi replied. Chapter 1502. Hearing this ambiguous response, Sun Lan and Tang Shan were a little disappointed. Old Lady Tang was busy making phone calls to see if she could help. By the way, Xiaoxi, who is your boyfriend? Is he reliable? Tang Shan asked. Well, my boyfriend, Ningxi didn't hide it. Sun Lan was a little surprised. Oh, Xiaoxi, you have a boyfriend? What does he do? Ningxi said, he's a businessman. Old Lady Tang, who had just finished the phone call, looked at her with disdain. What can a businessman do? If you want to look for someone, you should look for an official. Don't waste time and affect Xianhua. Ningxi didn't refute Old Lady Tang's words but just listened quietly. The Tang family didn't have much hope for Ningxi's call, so they were busy trying to figure out a way to solve the problem. Tang Nuo was very interested in this brother-in-law he hadn't met yet and asked Ningxi many questions. Sister, do you really have a boyfriend? Why would I lie to you? Is he handsome? Is he more handsome than Brother Su? No, more handsome than Suzaji? Of course, he's more handsome than him. It was dusk and the sky was getting darker. The Tang family didn't know what to do, and there was still no news from Ningxi. Xiaoxi, did your boyfriend reply to you? Sun Lan had no choice but to pin her last hope on Ningxi. Ningxi shook her head. Not yet. Although there was no news from Lu Tingxiao, Ningxi wasn't in a hurry and didn't call him. She wouldn't doubt her sweetheart's ability. Oh! Sun Lan was disappointed. Finally, it was completely dark. Tang Shan couldn't sit still anymore. Xiaoxi, still no news? Why don't you call and ask? Why? Do you really count on her? She's just an actress. Old Lady Tang was so worried about her grandson that she was angry and her tone was getting worse and worse. She didn't care which family she was from. In her eyes, she was just an ungrateful wretch who had eaten the Tang family's rice for so many years. Therefore, she said that her daughter was just a waste of money. There was no use in raising her, and she was an eyesore. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. It sounded unusually clear in the dead silence of the house. It's so late. Who is it? Sun Lan craned her neck to take a look. I'll go get it, Tang Nuo said as he walked toward the door. The door was pulled open with a squeak. In the next second, Tang Nuo froze on the spot and stared blankly at the tall figure standing in front of the door. The man was dressed in a tailored iron-gray suit and a dark striped tie. He stood at the door with his back to the night sky, making people feel that the small and dim house had suddenly become bright. Tang Nuo's mind was immediately filled with the words, "Your presence brings light to my humble dwelling." You are. Tang Nuo stared blankly at the handsome and noble man in front of him. Not knowing what to think, his eyes suddenly lit up. Could it be, you are my brother-in-law? Hearing the word brother-in-law, the man's cold eyes slightly moved, and he glanced at the boy. Are you Xiaoxi's younger brother, Tang Nuo? Yes, I'm Tang Nuo. Tang Nuo quickly nodded. Hearing this, the man raised his hand. Tang Nuo found that the man was holding a large envelope in his hand and asked in confusion, "This is?" The man directly handed the envelope to his brother-in-law in front of him. "A gift for our first meeting." Ah! Tang Nuo looked puzzled and subconsciously took it. He was about to politely refuse it, but after glancing at the words on the envelope, his face suddenly changed. He saw that the sender of the envelope was Capital University. He hurriedly opened the envelope and saw Capital University's admission notice. Chapter 1503. Aw, sis. Sis, come here. Tang Nua's excited shout came from the door. Tang Shan, Sun Lan, Mrs. Tang, and Ning Shi all walked toward the door. Then they saw a man standing at the door. Tang Nua was holding an envelope in his hand, looking excited. Sis, look, an acceptance letter. An acceptance letter from Capital University. What? Xiao Noa, where did you get this? Sun Lan, Tang Shan, and Mrs. Tang all crowded around him. Ning Shi was also surprised. Brother-in-law, he gave it to me just now. He said it was a gift for our first meeting. Tang Nua held it in his arms and showed it to his parents and grandma. A gift for our first meeting. Ning Shi looked at the man standing at the door, and the corner of her mouth twitched. Damn it. She knew the devil was reliable, but she didn't expect him to be this reliable. He actually gave her an acceptance letter from Capital University. How long had it been since she called him? Only half a day. Taking into account the time he took to drive here, it took him less than an hour to get this letter. She was speechless. Tang Nua and the others were excited. Ning Shi walked up to Lu Tingxiao and couldn't help exclaiming, "You're so fast." Lu Tingxiao said, "This is the first time you've asked me for help." It was rare for his wife to need his help. Ning Shi coughed. Why do I feel that Lu Tingxiao's words are a little sad? She had never asked Lu Tingxiao for help, and this time he asked for Tang Nua's help. Is this really an acceptance letter from Capital University? Sun Lan looked incredulous. After all, they had made countless calls and gone to countless places, but the only answer they got was that there was nothing they could do. Who would have thought that with one call from Ning Shi, the acceptance letter from Capital University would come directly to them? Xiao Nua, did you read it clearly? Mrs. Tang was shocked and anxious. I read it word by word. There's no mistake. There's the seal of Capital University. Tang Nua said excitedly. Xiaoxi, what's your boyfriend's name? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sun Lan asked. His surname is Ku. Out of caution, Ning Shi didn't reveal Lu Tingxiao's real information. Mr. Ku, I don't know how to thank you. Brother-in-law, how did you do it? They all said that I definitely can't change my mind. I asked a friend to help. You have a teacher to testify for you, so it shouldn't be a big problem, Lu Tingxiao explained briefly. Although it was an understatement, everyone in the Tang family knew it was not that easy. If it weren't for Cece's boyfriend, they would have suffered a great loss this time. Old Madame Tang held the acceptance letter in her hands and was overjoyed. She never expected that this girl would really be of help this time. She didn't raise her for 18 years in vain. At least she knew how to help her brother. She was so much better than that damned girl who forgot her roots and never came back once. Old Madame Tang held the acceptance letter in her hands, looking at the man this girl had found. Although she didn't know what his family background was, just based on his appearance and temperament, there was nothing to say about him. She felt that he was even more outstanding than the young master of the Su family. Chapter 1504. Old Lady Tang walked up to Lu Tingxiao and said happily, "You're Mr. Ku, right? Thank you so much for taking care of Xianhua. You must be hungry after coming all the way here. You must stay for dinner." Lu Tingxiao didn't speak, but looked at Ning Shi. Tang Nua hurriedly said to Ning Shi, "Sister, it's the first time my brother-in-law comes to our house. Of course he should stay for dinner. I have a lot to talk to him about." What could they talk about when they met for the first time? Ning Shi was amused to hear Tang Nua call him brother-in-law. Okay. Thus, old Madame Tang happily went to the kitchen to cook. She even hurriedly greeted her son and daughter-in-law. Lanzi, go and kill the chickens in the yard. Shan, go and dig out that jar of good wine for me. Xiaona, go and pick some vegetables from the field. The food here is very fresh. You city people can't eat it. Then she looked at Ning Shi. Girl, why are you standing there like a fool? Take your boyfriend into the room and make him tea with the tea leaves in the red jar. I bought them from the town. There are dried fruits in the drawer. Take them out. Ningxi opened the red jar and made a cup of tea for Lu Tingxiao. She couldn't help but exclaim that Lu Tingxiao was so smart that even Grandma Tang, who was so difficult to get along with, was completely bought over by him at the first meeting. Thanks to you, Grandma has never been so nice to me. Lu Tingxiao touched the girl's hair, and his eyes were full of heartache. Ningxi knew what he was thinking and said with a smile, "It's all in the past. Your kindness to me has made up for all my faults at the dinner table." Tang Shan was drunk. "Xiaoxi, I'd like to propose a toast to you. Last time those people borrowed money and didn't pay it back. It was you who helped solve it. Our Tang family owes you too much. It's our Tang family's fault. Old Tang, you're drunk." Sun Lan hurriedly stopped Tang Shan. Old Madame Tang frowned when she heard this. The matter last time was also solved by this girl. It was my sister who found a way to scare them. Otherwise, how could those hooligans return the money obediently? Tang Nuo was afraid that his grandmother would be biased against Ningxi, so he didn't tell her that Ningxi directly beat them up. Old Madame Tang remained silent and did not say anything. The anger and dissatisfaction she had with Ningxi had dissipated quite a bit. At least this girl had a conscience. She had been suppressing the anger in her heart for a long time because of the matter of the wrong daughter. Not only did she raise someone else's daughter for nothing, but she also lost her own daughter. How could there be such a thing? After Tang Nuo's matter was settled, the Tang family began to think about another important issue, Xiao Nuo's first choice in that volunteer book. How did it become that Shijiang University out of nowhere? Sun Lan said in a low voice. "I'm sure I didn't fill it in wrongly," Tang Nuo said confidently. At this moment, Lu Tingxiao said, "The process here isn't very standard. There are a lot of opportunities to tamper with the process, from collecting the application to entering it into the system. If the other party does it secretly, they can leave no traces at all." Lu Tingxiao's eyes flickered as he spoke. He paused for a moment before continuing. "You'd better think about whether you've offended someone recently." "Offended someone? No. Who could we have offended? It can't be those hooligans, right? They've already left Spring Breeze Town." Tang Shan frowned. Sun Lan thought for a long time, but could not figure out who it could be. At this moment, Old Lady Tang suddenly stood up. "I know who it is. It's that girl. It must be that wicked girl." Chapter 1505. "Mom, who are you talking about?" Sun Lan asked suspiciously. Old Madame Tang pointed at Sun Lan's face and said angrily, "Who else? It's that good daughter of yours. She didn't want Xianhua to go to the capital and be an eyesore to her. Didn't she urge you to change Xianhua's choice?" Sun Lan was stunned. She had never thought of this possibility. That's impossible. I've already explained to Xiaolua that Xianhua will go to the capital by herself. I won't go with her, and I won't let Xianhua disturb her life. She agreed at that time and didn't say anything. Ningxi urged Sun Lan to change Xianhua's choice. Ningxi frowned. She had thought that the matter was fishy, and now it seemed that her guess was right. It was most likely Ning Xiaolua's doing. Although she had suspected it from the beginning, she had never mentioned it from the beginning to the end. If this matter were to come out of her mouth, it would be seen as sowing discord. Lu Tingxiao, who was a bystander, made the old lady immediately think of Ningxu. Old Madame Tang was completely enraged. "You idiot! You believe everything she says? Who could our Tang family offend? If she had the ability, she could have secretly changed Xianhua's choice. She's now the daughter of a rich family in the capital and the young mistress of the Su family. It's easy for her to do such dirty things. Who else could it be other than her? I was too careless. I didn't think. I almost ruined Xianhua's future. How could this woman be so cruel and vicious? What kind of sin did our Tang family commit?" Old Madame Tang slapped her thigh and cried. Tang Shan was awakened by the old lady's cry and hurriedly persuaded, Mom, calm down. There's no evidence. Xiao is her brother after all. I don't think Xiao would. You two are so stupid. Xiao will be killed by you sooner or later. Old Madame Tang's face was full of hatred. That debt collector. She's here to harm our Tang family. She's afraid that people will find out that she's from the countryside and lose face. How could she let it go? Mom, there may be some misunderstanding. I'll call Shui Luo tomorrow and ask her. What's there to ask? Is she going to admit what she's done? Old Madame Tang glared at Sun Lan, hugged Tang Nuo, and cried again. Then she looked at Ning Shi and Lu Tingxiao as if they were her saviors. She girl, although Xiao Nuo is not your biological brother, he has been your brother for 18 years. When Xiao Nuo goes to the capital, you must help him. Tang Nuo was a little embarrassed. Grandma, I don't need my sister to help me. I can do it myself. Before Ning Shi could speak, Lu Tingxiao said, Cici has always loved her younger brother, Tang Nuo. He's not her biological younger brother, but he's closer to her than her biological younger brother. Since we've been together, she has never asked me to do anything for her. This is the first time she's asked me for help. After Tang Nuo goes to the capital, we'll take good care of him even if you don't tell us. Then Lu Tingxiao changed the subject. However, old Madame Tang, you must know that Cici is just a small actress, and I'm just a little rich. I'm lucky to know a friend who works in the education department, so I'm able to help her. So, if your powerful enemy is not reconciled and wants to do something to Tang Nuo in the future, I'm afraid there's nothing we can do. That you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.